everyone. Like I did for carbohydrates, I thought I would make a quick video to better explain another class of macronutrients, lipids. And what lipids are they are essentially fats, and there's various types of lipids or fats that we find in our bodies and in food. And those are, as you can see on the concept map, triglycerides, sterols, and phospholipids. To start off with phospholipids and sterols, it's interesting, we don't actually have to get those from food itself. We can actually make all the phospholipids and sterols that we need in our bodies. The phospholipids you'll typically find in cell membranes, so if you think of that phospholipid bilayer in cell membranes. And sterols, probably the most well-known example of a sterol would be cholesterol. And cholesterol plays a number of different roles in the body, also in cell membrane structure. It helps with forming bile, which helps with fat digestion and absorption. It's also a precursor to the various sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone. But like I said, our body makes all the cholesterol that it needs. We don't necessarily have to get it from food. The last class of lipids is probably what I'm going to spend the most time talking about today, and that's triglycerides. This is the main form of fat, both that we get from food and in the body. And essentially what triglycerides are just three different fatty acids, or they could be the same fatty acids, but it's three fatty acids attached to a glycerol backbone. And to further classify fatty acids, we divide them up into two categories: our saturated fats, like we have right here, and then our unsaturated fatty acids. And what saturated fats are, these are typically our fats that are solid at room temperature. And how I like to remember saturated fats is they're typically saturated with hydrogen. There's no double bonds, and so they pack really tightly, and so that's why they're solid at room temperature. So just some examples of saturated fats. These are going to be any of your animal fats, so like butter, lard, anytime you see gristle on meats, the skin on poultry, any type of like bacon grease, for instance. Those are all saturated fats. You also will find saturated fat in your tropical oils like coconut oil and palm oil. And it's often recommended that we keep our saturated fat intake pretty low, because if you consume a lot of saturated fats, it can have a negative impact on your bad cholesterol or your LDL cholesterol. And so that's what contributes to all those plaques and fatty deposits in your blood vessels. And so by limiting saturated fats, a lot of times that helps keep the blood flowing like it's supposed to and prevents a lot of those blockages from occurring. Another fat that I want to talk about are hydrogenated oils or trans fats. They're not listed here on this concept map, but it's important to know that they behave very similarly in the body to saturated fats by raising those bad levels of cholesterol, which again contribute to a lot of those plaques and fatty deposits in our blood vessels. I do get a lot of questions with saturated fat, about coconut oil. What's the deal with coconut oil? It's one of those really trendy foods out there right now. What's interesting about the tropical oils, because they come from plants, it's just a little bit different makeup of saturated fatty acids. And there's various types of saturated fatty acids out there. And we find that the saturated fats in coconut oil don't quite have that same negative impact on our LDL or bad cholesterol. However, it's still, you don't want to overdo it. I think it's still healthier and better to get the majority of your fats from unsaturated fatty acids. But hey, a little coconut oil in moderation definitely can be included as part of a healthy eating pattern. The second class of fatty acids are your unsaturated fatty acids, and these are your monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. And if you look at the word monounsaturated, or mono, that means one, poly means many, and all that refers to is the number of double bonds. So monounsaturated fats have one double bond. And foods that you'll find monounsaturated fats are foods like olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, nuts and seeds as well are very high in monounsaturated fats. One food that's not listed on there are avocados, are a really great source of monounsaturated fats. And these are those heart healthy fats. So I would definitely emphasize more of those mono and polyunsaturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats, like I said, poly means many. So they have two or more double bonds. And some examples of polyunsaturated fats would be your plant oils. Um, and one type of fatty acid, or two types of fatty acids that actually fit in the category of polyunsaturated fats, are your essential fatty acids. There's actually two types of fatty acids that we have to get from food, and these are our omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. These are types of polyunsaturated fats. Omega-3s, most of us equate with fish. Fish is a great source of omega-3s. They have EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid. Quite a mouthful. Um, there's also alpha linolenic acid, which is an omega-3 that you'll find in plant foods. So if you don't eat fish or you don't like fish oil supplements, you can still get omega-3s from foods like chia seeds, flax seeds, even a little bit in soybean and canola oil. Walnuts are a great source of omega-3s as well, and there's a lot of foods out there that are fortified with omega-3s. Our omega-6s are typically those plant oils. We also get omega-6s from some animal products as well, like beef and dairy. But for the most part, if you consume vegetable oil or any of these oils listed here, like corn oil and sunflower oil, those are very rich sources of omega-6s. One little fun tip with omega-3s, a lot of people do take the fish oil supplements and they don't really like that fishy aftertaste that you get. My suggestion would be to keep your fish oil supplements in the refrigerator. Sometimes it can help reduce that nasty fish burp that you get afterwards, or you can buy flavored varieties too. Um, and also, I'm going to put up a link to a really great website called Seafood Watch. And Seafood Watch is a great resource if you're concerned about maybe contaminants or mercury in some of the fish that you consume. And it'll give you it's a really good guide as to smart choices of fish that are high in omega-3s, as well as low in contaminants. And it's a list that's updated every year, and it's a real easy site to use. You literally just type in the fish like salmon or tuna, and it'll tell you the best types to buy or consume. Hopefully that helps better explain lipids. Please let me know if you have any questions.